Welcome back. Welcome back. Perks Recap Podcast. We are once again doing NFL predictions, our second one of the day. We did one earlier today with Al, of course. Some great conversation there, talking all about football. The football season kind of officially starts now. And we had Ty, who has not been on the podcast, but he's a big football fan, and he gave us his picks. And we went over his picks as well as our own predictions. And we have another guest today, Brandon, who I've known for a few years now. He's been in the fantasy football league with me as well for like 6 or 7 years. Brandon, how you doing?
Hey, doing well. Happy to be here. Yeah, we've been in the fantasy football league now with you for several years. Haven't quite made it to that championship yet.
Yep.
Kind of,
Last year
my
you were the
team
number.
just
Yeah, last year you were the number one seed too.
yeah, my team just kind of like fell apart down the stretch. I always have some guys that I like, but I can't quite get to that championship game. So maybe this year.
Maybe this year. But the knowledge is there, and that's what we're here for, is to crack your brain a little bit and figure out what you're thinking for this coming season. Similar to the earlier podcast where I had somebody else send me their picks in. Earlier today was Ty, as I said. I got a buddy Joe as well, and he sent in his picks. So we're going to go over his picks as well as your picks, Brandon. And I will just quickly skim over mine because I gave mine earlier today on the first podcast.
Sounds good. I consider this right, the beginning of football season. I consider this the best time of the year. So excited to be on and talking
Me
some
too.
ball with you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, we're going to start with the AFC. And if you want to just jump right in, give me your order and records for the AFC East.
Sure. So I'll go Buffalo Bills, number one, 12 and 5. I don't think there's any surprise there. This is my first hot take of the podcast. I go Miami Dolphins, 10 and 7 in second. New York Jets, third, 6 and 11. And the Patriots, also a hot take, 4 and 13. I think a lot of people have them a lot higher, generally speaking.
Uh, yeah, yep. I have Buffalo at 13-4. I have Miami. I'm sorry. I have the Jet. Geez, if I can read my own writing, the Pats at 8-9, then the Jets at 7-9, and then the Dolphins at 6-11. So the big difference here is the Dolphins, obviously. And what do you like about them that I, for some reason, either missed or just did not get?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily it's that you missed it. It's just kind of looking at what are the scenarios for teams that may have had a down year last year and kind of have a chance maybe to get back up there this year. So I like the Dolphins pass rush. I think if they can stay healthy, they got guys like Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. If those guys can produce, and then looking at the offense again, this was a dominant unit, a couple years ago. I mean, I know those guys are older. Tua, with those concussions, you never know if he's going to stay upright. But, I just feel like Tyreek Hill is still Tyreek Hill. If he's 80% of the Tyreek Hill he was a few years ago, that's still really good. Jalen Waddle, I consider a decent receiver. I like Achane. So I do think they still have some home run hitters. They still have some really good guys on offense. And I like some of their pieces on defense. So I think that they have a chance to get back up there again.
Yep. Obviously, a big portion of that is health, and especially with Tua more than anything. Um,
Yeah.
but I really do like Achan and the fact that he kind of burst onto the scene last year. He
Yeah.
really came on last year, so I like that take as well. Um, for me, for the Jets, I have my whole thing on them getting back to some sort of respectability is the fact that I think that their coaching staff last year really hindered them. After they got rid of Salah, they brought on the other coach. And I never can remember his name. Is it Ulbrich? Jeff Ulbrich?
Yeah, I think Ulbrich. Yep.
Yeah, he was not ready. He's not a head coach. He was not prepared for the job. Wasn't thinking he was going to get the job. I don't think when he got it, and just I think really hindered them. Then of course all the Aaron Rodgers saga and drama and all that's out of there now. I
Yeah,
love,
yeah.
yep, I love everything that Aaron Glenn has been saying so far. I like his attitude. I think they're going to be a much better coach team. And just on that alone, I like Justin Fields. I've always been a little bit of a Justin Fields guy. Garrett Wilson's still there, still young. Brees Hall, same thing. They've got pieces. Their defense is one of the better units in the league the last few years. I think they just get back to some form of respectability.
Yeah, this just feels to me like an old, like, if they can run the ball and they can play good defense, kind of old school football, I think
Yep.
they could have some success, you know.
Yep. Real quick before we move on, Joe's picks for the AFC East are the Bill. He didn't give records, unfortunately, but we got Bills, Pats in second place, Miami, then the Jets in last. Um, so your Pats take.
Yeah, so let me just explain this. So I like Drake May. I think Drake May he's got a bright future in the league. I think that we tend to overrate, young QB's performances sometimes, or we tend to give them some kind of some brownie points to projecting to what we think they can be, and so we just think of it as a natural acceleration to the next level. And I thought Drake May was good last year. But I'm just looking at his weapons, and you have a Stephon Diggs who's a little bit older. He's still a good receiver, but a little bit older. Outside of that, their skill position guys aren't really knocking me out. They do have a good defense. And I guess most people project, Vrabel will be worth a few points by himself or a few wins by himself. But I just look at the talent, and to me, in the NFL, I just don't think that they are one of the more talented teams. So that's just my takeaway on
I agree, and I agree about the quarterbacks. You're going to see later on some of my hot takes on some of those quarterbacks. Um,
it.
the second year quarterbacks. I mean, some of them are fine, but and some of them progress and as you would expect. But some of them, a good portion of them, usually have a sophomore slump to some degree.
Yeah.
So I could see that being the case here.
And we do to be fair. We have seen some success from some young quarterbacks lately. Quicker than
Right,
usual.
but
But
C.J. Stroud last year was nowhere what he was in his rookie year.
right, exactly.
Anthony Richardson, same thing. He was good. What was it, 3 years ago or 2 years ago?
Hmm.
And then last year was terrible. Well, not what he was his rookie year. So it happens. I would say it's like a 50-50 proposition at this point.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily that I didn't like the Pats. It was kind of I needed a team or two that I was gonna, downgrade a bit because you can't have every team be pretty good. And I just compared to other teams, I kind of just don't really love their talent. And if you're gonna say Vrabel is a great coach, so he comes in and makes the adjustments, great. But I think it's gonna take a few years personally for them to get there with their weapons and with continuity of the team.
Yeah, there was a running back they got that I was high on, and I don't. Of course, I'm terrible remembering names.
Yeah, I
Is it
I do. Yeah,
Henderson?
I did like him as well. I'm trying to remember what his name is as
Is it
well.
Henderson? Anderson?
It was so yeah, it's something like that. This is going to sound terrible, but yeah, it's something like that. And I do like that they are getting a little bit more explosive there because I like Ramondre, but I don't think he has that kind of like speed that they need at that level. Henderson is yeah, his name is Henderson. I just looked quickly Henderson.
Yes,
Um,
Trevion Henderson to go with
Travion Henderson.
Stevenson.
Yeah,
To go
yeah,
with
yeah,
Stevenson,
exactly, exactly. So that's going to be a formidable duo, but
and I think they're going to want to
I
run
think
the
it's
ball as well, like the
right,
Jets.
right. Yeah, and they have a pretty good defense, so maybe they'll get there, just like the Jets. Maybe they'll be closer to that. So
We'll see. All right, that's all. That's all well and good there. And the Bills, we don't really need to go to go too far. I mean, they're
no,
the class of the division. They're right there in the upper elite of the entire league, really. And just, last year, that I was, there was a concern about them losing so many pieces, and it looked like it didn't affect them at all. And now they've started to replace some of those guys, and they seem like they've restocked, reloaded, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, it didn't make a difference at all last year. You know, the only concern I would even have with the Bills is is their receiving group. But, you know, Josh Allen last year kind of, you know, he did what he needed to do, you know, with those guys. So to me, I don't think you can point to that as a struggle at this
Yeah,
point.
I mean the guy won the MVP.
Exactly. So
All right, okay, let's move on. How about we go to the AFC? Well, we did the East. Let's do the West.
okay, so this one is a little bit more, you know, I was a little bit more standard on this. I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them at 14-3. I've got the Los Angeles Chargers at 11-6. I've got the Denver Broncos. This one might be a little bit of a hot take too, because I see a lot of people have them higher, but I've got them at 9-8, and I've got the Las Vegas Raiders at 6-11.
All right, I have Denver. I'm sorry, I have the Chargers at 12-5. I think the Chargers are going
Ooh,
to take
nice.
this division.
Wow.
Then I have Denver and Kansas City tied at 11-5, and I'm giving Denver the actual tiebreaker. So Kansas City coming in third, then
Wow. Okay.
Vegas 5-12. Vegas,
Okay.
Genty will be fun to watch, but that's about all there is there. Well, and Bowers, Genty and Bowers, their offense might be okay if they can get their quarterback situation straightened out. But that will be at least fun to watch some of their games. But
Yeah,
the
I
other
think
three
Gino
teams
will
in
be
this
okay.
division,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think Gino will be okay for them. I'm not. He's not the quarterback of the future, but you know he can get some things done.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Okay, so let's get into it. Kansas City, you have winning the division, and I have them in third, but I do have them with 11 wins, so I'm not totally crapping on them. I just really hated what I saw in the Super Bowl last year, and kind of pretty much last year, I was dumbfounded on how every week they were winning games, and you couldn't even really figure out how or why. They were like Houdini masters, and it kind of all came to roost against against Philly in the Super Bowl. So I want to see them get back to form, but until I do, I'm giving them putting them in third in the division. You still like everything about them though, right? It's Kansas City is basically the reason why you put them up where they were.
Yeah, I mean you'll see in some of my other picks, but I'm predicting a return to form for Kansas City. I think they're going to be great offensively, which they haven't been in a couple of years. So I think that I'm predicting somewhat of a resurgence for them. I think with Rasheed Rice back and some of their other pieces back, I think they'll be a lot better. Travis Kelsey, you know, he's getting up there, but he did say that he was kind of more locked in this year. So I'm just kind of putting faith in the Kansas City brass there that they'll be back up to where they have been in years past.
Okay, I can't argue that. I can't argue that because obviously every time you bet against Kansas City, you look foolish most times. Um,
True, well, except for the Super Bowl.
right. Okay, so I had the Chargers at 12-5 winning the division. Um, I love the coach. I love their running back situation now. What is his name? Hampton, I believe is the rookie there.
Yep, yep.
I think
Amari
he,
Hampton, I think.
yeah, I think he's gonna go crazy. And this is a team on the rise from last year. They made the playoffs last year. I'm just basically going with natural progression for the team, and of course, like I said, I love the coach. And yeah, that's basically where I land with the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had them at 11-6, so right there. I basically agree with every point you made. I think Jim Harbaugh is definitely gonna have the identity of the team down. I think that now he's finally has the running back that he kind of wants, so he can apply a little bit more of that to the game, to his game, and sort of take a little bit of the pressure off of Herbert.
Yep.
Um, so I really like the Chargers. I definitely have them in the playoffs this year.
Okay. Yeah, I have three teams from this division making the playoffs because I have Denver as well. I told you Kansas City and Denver both at 11-6. And another team it's so similar to the Chargers in terms of I love the coach, I love the culture change there, and I love. I mean, they stole Dobbins to be their running back now. Um, I love Cortland Sutton this year, and then of course Bo Nix. Now Bo Nix is another one of these second year quarterbacks who I think could be, be a victim of regression, but they make up for it because their defense is elite. It could be the best defense in the entire league, and that's why I still have them as high as I do.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. I have them right around that playoff mark. I think I'm a little bit lower on them as most people, but I do think that their defense is arguably the best defense in the league. So that'll win them a lot of games right there. Pat Surtain and some of those guys are just wreaking havoc in the in the secondary, and their front four is great too. I just I can't really argue against that. I think Denver will be a decent team at least.
Probably the best defense, the best division in the entire league, and how fun it's going to be because those are three top tier teams. I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it's probably the best division,
Yeah,
top
it's
to
right up
bottom.
there. Okay, if you're ready to move on, we can. Oh, did I give Joe's? I don't know if I get. Did I give Joe's?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me just jump in real quick and give his. Okay, he has Kansas City returning to form like you have. Kansas City winning the division. Denver second. San Diego, or he put San Diego, but he meant L.A.
Old school.
And then, like everybody else, he has Vegas in last. So, all right, let's move on and let's do the North. AFC North, and I will, since I'm on his page right now, I'm just going to rip through Joe's picks as well.
Okay.
He has Baltimore winning the division. No surprise there. Now, a surprise for me, he has Pittsburgh coming in second, then Cincinnati, then Cleveland. I am
Yeah.
not. I am not high on Pittsburgh at all. I'm not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers to begin with, and all the drama he brings. I've been predicting the downfall of Pittsburgh like for like the last like 3 years, and every year they make me look foolish. And I'm predicting it
Yeah.
again, but I don't think they're going to make me look foolish this year. I'm more confident this year than I've ever been. I don't think it's going to work out because why would it?
Yeah.
And I love DK Metcalf coming over in the running game, but I don't know. I'm down on Pittsburgh. I go Baltimore 14-3, Cincinnati 10-7, Pittsburgh 7-10, and then Cleveland, one of the worst teams in the league, worst quarterback situation in the league at 3-14. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah. So I have Baltimore at 13-4. I have Cincinnati at 10-7. I've got Pittsburgh at 9-8, and I've got Cleveland at 3-14. So we're pretty close. I
Yep.
honestly, I feel the same way that you do about Pittsburgh. I gave them basically two extra wins just on the strength of Tomlin always being over 500. just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because just
Yep.
because every year I'm just like you. Every year I project it to happen. I haven't liked their quarterbacks really since Ben Roethlisberger was there. Um, and yet they always seem to overachieve by a few wins every year. But I don't think this year it'll be good enough. I think they'll just kind of be okay and kind of luck into some wins. Defense good. And
Yeah.
that'll be basically it.
What is your take on the Bengals?
So I like the Bengals, but it's like every year we're talking about the Bengals starting slow. I think the Bengals are going to have arguably the best offense in the league, the best passing attack in the league.
I agree.
Um, but the defense is always their Achilles heel. It always seems to get worse as the kind of like the season goes. It's like the offense starts slow and then gets better, and then the defense like is a little bit better, then gets worse. So it's like
Yeah.
it never ends up being like working out to be like one good team.
Yeah, the defense is one of the worst in the league. They really they it seems like they tried to address it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to work out ever. And of course, their offense is awesome.
Yeah, so I think they're on that cusp, like they kind of usually are, right around 10 wins. Um,
Yeah,
so I think they'll be good. But
right, exactly. I do think this year you gotta. I think you gotta predict them to start out slow because the evidence is there for like 2 3 years in a row now. But I think they have the talent this year to come back a little bit stronger and make a playoff push at the end. Where last year I think they missed out by like what, one game.
yeah,
I think so.
yeah,
I think this
exactly.
year they're going to get that game, and it might be as simple as the fact that one of their first games of the first like 2 or 3 weeks they have Cleveland, and then I don't care how bad they're playing, they should win that game.
They should win it. I think they will win it. I still won't pick them in my survivor pool. I
Right?
think
Oh
I
no,
did
no,
that
no, no,
last
no.
year.
Of course not.
I
Nope.
think I did that last year, and I think I got burned for it. So
And Baltimore, of course, just like the Bills, they're the class of the division. Class right there is the tippity top of the league as well. I actually have them as my number one seed in the AFC at 14-3.
yeah, I love Baltimore this year. I think that if there was ever a year, it's got to be this year. I think they're just really great on both sides of the ball. I think Lamar Jackson, he's got all the tools this year. He's got he's got to make it happen. But I love them, especially as a regular season team. I think they'll just run over people.
Yeah, and they played the Buffalo at some point during the year too. That's going to be a huge game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we'll move on to the last division here, AFC South. Arguably the worst division in the league, with the NFC South right behind them.
Yeah, definitely among them. I don't know record wise. I have them pretty close, but definitely the South AFC South to me feels like the worst for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep. Um. Yeah. So go. So yeah. Go ahead. Give us your records.
Okay, so I'll go Houston. I actually have pretty good this year at 11-6. Part of that's because of the division. Jacksonville, I've got 8-9. Tennessee, I have 4-13. Indianapolis, I have 3-14.
3-14. So you really are down on the Colts.
Yeah, I've got no
Even
faith in
with
the
your
Colts
boy
this
there,
year.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I've got no faith in the Colts this year. I think they're among the worst teams in the league this year. I just don't see what exactly, like you said, the QB position doesn't inspire confidence. I just don't really see what to be excited for when it
Yeah,
comes
I'm
to
not even excited
Indianapolis this
about
year.
Jonathan Taylor this year for some reason.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's just fatigue. Like, some of these guys, especially when you're playing fantasy every year, some of these guys, it's like you have them on your team, they underachieve, they have that one game that's like 200 yards, but you're like, man, it just doesn't feel like I got everything out of Jonathan Taylor this year. So maybe that's kind of what part of the frustration is there.
Yeah, I can hear you. Real quick, Joe's picks are Houston as well. He goes Jacksonville second, then the Colts, then Tennessee. Um, I have Houston at 11-6 as well, same as you, by the way. Just for reference, Al also picked Houston to go to 11-6, and Ty also picked Houston to go 11-6. All of us did.
Wow.
Um, yeah, Houston Colts, Jags 8-9. Wait, so I'm sorry. My thing is not in order. I put the team and then the record, and I'm getting confused on the order. It's Houston 11-6, Jacksonville 8-9, the Colts and the Titans both tied at 6-11. Um, I almost want to bring Tennessee down a little bit. I mean, the rookie quarterback, you never know. Uh,
Yeah.
but Cam does look good, and I do like him. It could be a situation where his regression comes next year in his second year, and he has a good first year, and maybe they will get 6 or 7 wins. But you really can't predict it too much. I do have 6-11 for them, but we all have them in last place.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Tennessee right above Indianapolis, But to me, both those teams are neither one is going to be good. And I was a little bit too um, aggressive with the low win totals, but kind of had to mark some teams down because I had some teams a little bit higher. So I don't think overall I don't think either of those teams are going to be good. I think Tennessee is a little too young with their quarterback and some of their other talent, and like I said, Indianapolis I just don't have any faith in. So
Right. Now Jacksonville, I love Brian Thomas. I mean, that kid, he really came on last year, so I love that. Let's get a healthy Trevor Lawrence. They've made some additions. I kind of like some of the things they've done. So I got them with 8 wins. Where did you land with Jacksonville?
same as you, 8 and 9.
Yeah. Not a great team at all, but a solid team, formidable enough where they're going to come up, they're going to win their share of games. Um, but that's really, yeah, not too much to get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, any of these teams you can really have, up a few wins or down a few wins depending on how the season goes. I could see them, getting a couple more wins and ending up in that playoff picture. But it's hard to predict that based upon what they've done in the last few years and kind of how Trevor Lawrence has just looked okay, not great, not bad, but just like all right, and you want and expect more from him. So
I totally agree there. Now, talking about Houston, they are the class of this division, but they are the lowest division winner.
yeah, a
Um,
part of me wanted to go really aggressive with Houston and really pick them, up there with the Buffaloes and the Baltimores, and because I really like Stroud. I like their weapons. Their defense is, if Denver's the best, they're, probably a few slots beneath, but they're still really good. It's just their offensive line. I think that's part of the reason why Stroud didn't have as good of a year last year. He's always getting hit and everything, so I considered Stroud for like an MVP type season or whatever. Like the third year is usually pretty good, but I was just like, I can't get there with the offensive line. I just don't think they're going to give him enough time to really put up those kind of numbers.
yep, that's the problem. The offensive line is still a problem. I got to see them play better to really buy in, but it doesn't take a whole lot to win this division. They are definitely the class of the division, mostly on that defense. That defense is really, really good, right up there with Denver's in my eyes.
Yep, exactly. So I think they'll be good, but maybe just
And I
a
do,
couple
and I
slots
do love
below
me
the.
some Nico Collins
Yes.
if
Yep.
he can stay healthy.
Definitely.
Okay, do you have your teams seeded?
I do.
Okay, so and did you do the playoffs like just who's going to come out, or did you do actually the playoff matchups and who's going to win?
I did everything, man. I came prepared. I
Okay,
did the
good.
playoff teams. I did who's beating who. I did it all.
Okay, so then go right ahead. Go with your first round, your playoffs first round, the three
Okay, so
games.
my wild card weekend, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
So I have Kansas City having the bye. So I've got number two Baltimore against number seven. My number seven was the Miami Dolphins. Um, and I've got Baltimore winning that.
Yep.
I've got Buffalo against Cincinnati as a six seed,
Yep.
which would be a good matchup. That'd be fun. I've got Buffalo there.
Yep.
And then Houston Texans, number four, and the LA Chargers I've got as the five seed, and I've got the Chargers over Houston.
Okay, real quick, I already went over mine and the other one, but Buffalo over Cincinnati for me. Kansas City over the Chargers, even though they're the lower seed. The Chargers. I can't. Was down a little bit on Kansas City in terms of the regular season. Playoff time come around, I'm still gonna have some faith in them to at least win a game, win the wild card weekend. So Kansas City over the Chargers, Denver over Houston. So that brings us to the championship week or the semifinals there, the division week. What do you got?
Yeah, divisional round. I have Kansas City over the Chargers, and I have Baltimore finally pulling it out over Buffalo.
Okay, I have Buffalo over Denver, and then I have Baltimore finally slaying the beast in defeating Kansas City, setting up a Buffalo. Baltimore AFC Championship game.
Wow. Yeah, that's that's a. I had them in the divisional round, but that's official. If they were to make it to to the championship round,
Yeah.
wow,
Well,
look
the
out.
thing is, um, I'll tell you right now, I picked Buffalo to go to beat Baltimore, and I gotta. The reason why is because I gotta see Lamar Jackson play better in the playoffs. He's not as
Yeah, you're
bad as
right.
like Dak. Dak's terrible, but he had a decent run last year, but he still came up short. And I want to see it first. So because of that, and plus Buffalo could beat them anyway, even if he plays great. So that's
Of
why I went
course.
with Buffalo, and they were my number one seed, so that game would be in Buffalo.
Yeah, of course. I can't refute that at all. I like Baltimore this year. You can see. But that's just my personal feeling. Like I have nothing playoff wise to be able to show that Baltimore should be over them. And I think that Baltimore's real problem to me, aside from Lamar not playing his top game, is that they forget what their identity is every time in the playoffs. They start trying to like throw the ball like 40 times and they have the number one rushing attack year after year. They stop giving the ball to Henry. They stop, doing design runs for Lamar. So I just feel like the coaching to me always takes a dip in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I agree. So you have Baltimore over who?
I have Baltimore over Buffalo. I have Kansas City over the Chargers in the divisional round, and I had Baltimore beating Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl.
Nice. Yes. All right. Let's dive into the AFC or to the NFC here. We'll leave our division for last.
There's going to be a bloodbath there.
Yeah. All right. So let's go NFC North. That's a
NFC
fun
North.
division.
Okay.
And that's a fun division too.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. So I've got Detroit at 13-4. Still have faith in the Lions, even after what happened last year. I've got Green Bay at 10-7. I think I'm a little bit down compared to what other people have. The Bears I've got at 8-9, and I've got the Vikings at 7-10. I think it's going to be a good division overall. I'll just say
Yeah.
that much.
I'm a little down on Minnesota. I got them all the way down at 5-12. We'll have to see what JJ McCarthy is coming off the injury as well.
Yeah,
We'll see, and just that uncertainty has me a little bit hesitant to give them much more than the 5-12. But I
yeah. I
have
don't. I don't disagree. For me, it was just. I was just on the strength of how nasty their defense was last year.
yep,
But I and having Jefferson. But overall, I agree with you.
yep. So I have Detroit 12-5, Chicago 10-7, Green Bay 10-7, and Minnesota 5-12. Funny enough, both Ty and Joe both have Green Bay much better than we have. Ty has Green Bay winning the division over Detroit. That's
Oh, yeah, I
bananas to
can't
me.
say it's crazy. I have seen some people have them that high. I'm not as high on the Packers, and I haven't really been the last few years as everybody else. I like Jordan Love. Um, he's really good. I think he's a huge, like a great talent. I think his arm strength is ridiculous. I just kind of like the Lamar. I just need to see a little bit more of him being just like really great. And I don't think his weapons are the best either. I think they have a lot of like good receivers, but I don't think they have any great
They
receivers.
don't have a true number one. Now they drafted their rookie there, and he could become the number one. We'll see.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm forgetting his name because I can't do it.
yeah,
but yeah, but I'm not completely, down on them. I had them getting 10 wins, so they're double-digit wins. They're right there in the playoff race.
yeah. Same here. I'll get
Um,
them at 10-7 as well.
yeah, the team for me that really made the jump is Chicago. Chicago looks good. You're coming off of now. Caleb Williams could have the sophomore slump, but I think we already experienced the slump with him because he was good
Yeah,
to start, and then last year he went to complete crap, and then he came out of it at the end. So I think I'm more confident in him not getting that slump. Plus, I love the coach now. He was badly coached last year as well. Their coaching staff was terrible next to the Jets. Now he's got a good coach, so I like everything going on over there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't really say that I disagree completely. I have them at 8 and 9. I think they easily could get to 10 wins. They could be better than advertised. I think Caleb Williams will be better. I think that he kind of hit that slump in the middle of the year. I think even towards the end of the year, he was starting to get a little bit better.
Yep,
Um, but yeah, I like the Bears. I just don't have them reaching that level. That's one step above that.
yep. In Detroit now, there is some issues here because they lost their offensive and defensive coordinator, and that is tough to do. You just asked the Eagles a couple years ago when they completely collapsed at the end of the year and lost like the last 6 games.
Yep.
That was the year they had a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. It takes it takes time. It takes these teams time to adjust. So I still have them at 12-5. I really, really thought about bringing them down a little bit, but
Mhm.
the talent is too much. I just love the talent on that team. They're going to have Aiden Hutchinson back. Um,
Yeah, I mean
pretty
they
much
made their playoff run last year without Aiden Hutchinson.
right,
So it's like,
exactly. And
I agree
everybody's
with you.
coming back. Pretty much everybody's back.
Yeah. Yep. So I really like Detroit this year, but I agree with you completely. Losing both coordinators is tough to come out of. It's tough to get that gelling quickly.
Yep, yep. Uh, yeah. So okay, let's move on if you're ready to.
Yep. Oh, did you? Oh, you did say what the other picks were. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to start with the picks for the. We'll go the NFC South.
Hmm.
Terrible division. Joe here has Tampa Bay winning the division, Atlanta in second, Carolina in third, in New Orleans in last in the division, which makes perfect sense to me. You can probably go in any real order, and I would be okay
Hmm.
with that, other than New Orleans. But any of those three, Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa, in my eyes, can win that division.
So I'm actually going to surprise you here because this is why I was saying I don't know if this one or the AFC South is worse because I actually have the NFC South a little bit better than you. Um, Not that I have the ton of faith in these teams, but I have a little bit higher. So I have Tampa Bay at 11-6. I like Tampa Bay this year. Um, I think their offensive line is a little bit improved. I think they've got they drafted another weapon for Baker,
Yep.
and I like the team.
Yep.
So the team that I was a little bit overzealous on, I think, the Atlanta Falcons. I've got them at 10-7. I think if they can just lean on the run game, and if they can kind of, I don't. Once again, Penix could easily not be great this year, you know,
Yeah. I mean,
and I think a
now
lot
would
of
they?
people don't have faith.
Do you think they would pull the plug and go back to Cousins?
Penix was really bad. Yeah, I think there's a potential for it. I don't really know what you gain because if halfway through the year Penix is bad, then going to Cousins. I mean, I guess sometimes you kind of just need to like save face and you need to put like a decent product on the field.
Right.
Um, but I don't think at that point I don't really think they have a chance to win anything if they start out the season rough. So so I could see it. But I don't know if that would really do anything for their prospects. Atlanta's another one of those teams I think where every year we're just like, all right, this is the year. It's finally coming together, and and that very easily could blow up. But I kind of like them for whatever reason. So I've got them at 10-7. I actually have Carolina drop down quite a bit, although I think they could. I think they have the ability to come up a little bit. I have them at 5-12.
Yep.
But I do like the drafting Tet McMillan. I think that Bryce Young could be a little bit better this year. So I do think they have potential, but I just didn't like them enough. And the Saints I've got at 3-13. I think the Saints are quite possibly the worst team in the league. I don't know who the quarterback is. Even their skill position guys are older.
Isn't it Spencer
Um,
Rattler?
yeah, Spencer Rattler. I think did they announce him as the starter?
No, he's battling out with the rookie there, Ruck.
Yeah, Shug, right? Travis
Shug,
Shug.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So between the two of them, I don't. I think that that starter. Maybe somebody will surprise us, but I think that starter's probably going to be the worst starter in the league.
Yep. And Alvin
Um,
Kamara's, long in the tooth. He's been there forever.
yeah, exactly. So I think that the Saints could definitely be terrible this year.
Yeah, I have them at 1-16.
I could definitely see that. I think that myself and probably some others are being generous to them.
So I have Atlanta at 7-10. So I understand everything you said there. Um, their defense is not very good. I wish they would have. I want to see their defense play a little better. I have Tampa
Hmm.
Bay at 10-7, so only one game difference from you. But my big surprise is I have Carolina winning this division because I love everything I'm seeing from them. I love their running game with Chuba Hubbard. I love their drafting Ted McMillan. And Bryce Young really came on last year, and this is the third year, so that sophomore slump year is kind of done. I expect Bryce Young to take a huge step forward this year, win double digits, and win this division.
I can see it. I'll be honest. After I like thought about everything and like wrote everything down, I was
Yep.
thinking to myself, well, maybe Carolina is like a lot better than what I'm writing down,
I
but it
mean,
just doesn't like
I could be
feel
way
right.
off, but
Yeah.
just so you know what everybody else picked, Al has them at 8 and 9, so he has some faith in them as well, and Ty has them at 7-10. So 6, 7, 8 wins. I think
Hmm.
that's a good landing spot for them. If everything goes right and they overachieve a little bit, then maybe they can get to the 10-7 that I have for them. But either way, I think they're going to be much more competitive this year. That's for sure. They're not going to be a doormat for everybody just to step on anymore.
No, I agree with that. I think they're gonna be in close games for sure.
Yep. Okay. NFC West.
Okay, so I had the Rams at 12-5. I really
Yep.
like the Rams this year.
Me too.
Um,
Real quick, do you have any concerns about the back
Yeah,
of
so I was gonna
Stafford?
say the Rams for me in the NFC are like what I had for like Houston in the AFC. Like I wanted to go crazy with them and say the Rams were gonna be 13-4 or 14. I wanted to say that they were gonna be crazy and really good, but Stafford just has those old man injuries, man. It's like he just keeps going down with back and stuff like that, and he wasn't completely healthy in the playoffs last year. It's just like there's always something, and I think that if he's not healthy, I think they kind of fall off a cliff, even though they
Right.
have some good weapons. So it kind of is all dependent upon Stafford. I'm kind of just the reason why I'm not picking them to be, just like the dominant team in the NFC is really because of his health. I love everything else about them. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, it's rough.
So we're all on the same page with the Rams. Me, you, and Ty. Because I had them at 11-6. Ty also picked them at 12-5. So he gave them even, yeah. You guys gave him one more win, but Al, for the reason of Stafford's back, and he doesn't have any faith that he's going to be able to hold up. He picked them to go 8-9, and Joe has them losing, not winning the division. He has San Francisco winning the division, then the Rams, then Arizona, then the Seahawks. Is his picks. I have the Rams 11-6, the Niners 10-7, partly because they literally have the easiest schedule in the league. Like mathematically, it is the easiest schedule in the entire league.
Hmm.
Um, then Seattle 8-9, Arizona 7-10. Everybody's got is down on Seattle and has Arizona over them. I'm a little different there, but I'm only one game difference. I have never been a big Kyler Murray guy.
Hmm.
I want to see him really succeed, and he's like been good, but he's never been great, and he doesn't seem like a guy that can carry the team. And I need to see more before I can really get on board. So that's why I'm worth 7-10 with them.
Yeah, so I'm actually really different. So I actually think 2 through 4. I think that these teams can really go in any kind of order.
Yep.
That was a good point. That was a good point about the 49ers in the schedule. If I would have thought about that, I probably would have put them a little bit higher. But I actually like the Seahawks this year. I have them 10-7. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold in the playoffs, but I think he's actually become underrated because of those last two games. Like I think he had a good season last year. It's hard because he's Sam Darnold, but I
Yep.
think he had a really good season last year. I think he can get the ball to the receivers that they have. Cooper Cup is, I know he's a little long in the tooth as well, but I think he's still got a little bit of juice. I really like their defense. I actually like the Seattle Seahawks this year.
What are
Um,
your thoughts on Jackson Smith and Jigba going to the outside, where all his success last year was in the slot, but that'll be Cooper Cup now? A little concerned there because his numbers are like disproportionate in terms of where he um, had all his production was when he was in the slot. He did almost nothing when he was on the outside, and he's going to be exclusively on the outside now.
yeah, that worries me a little bit for the coaching, in terms of the coaching and in terms of how the team is run. I'm
Yep.
hoping that they'll just kind of like come to their senses and kind of, not do that. I know that it'd be tough because I know that they have two people then in the slot or two receivers kind of playing the same position, but I kind of just have faith that the talent will win out and they'll do something that makes some sense because I like both players. Um, but yeah, I do. I like the Seahawks in general this year,
Okay.
at least in terms of the regular season.
All right. Now the Niners, I have them at 10-7, and where do you have them?
So I've got the Niners and the Cardinals both at 8 and 9.
Okay. Um, I just like I said before, the schedule. Um, I don't I don't think Purdy is a great quarterback, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's kind of like just fine. But they really got hit with a lot of health problems last year, especially McCaffrey. And as long as they are healthy and with that schedule, I think they can somewhat return to form, at least return to some respectability anyway. Because last year everything went bad.
Yeah, I agree. It was a year from hell from them, right?
Yep.
I really, I kind of went the route of I forgot which one of your friends put the Rams down because of Stafford. I'm kind of
Right.
going that way when it comes to the Niners and Christian McCaffrey. I'm just gonna assume until he proves me otherwise, he's gonna miss half the season, and so
Okay.
so I
Yeah.
don't really have any faith there.
That's fair. That's fair.
But if he doesn't, Niner and with that schedule, the Niners could really click. Kittle's getting up there, but he can still go. I think losing Debo will affect them a bit, but I still think they've got weapons. I mean, Ayuk is still kind of hurt, so you hope he can get back and be good. But yeah, I San Fran is one of the teams that I think has like a wide range of outcomes. I could see them, being a lot of different things.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we move to our division?
Let's do it. I tried to be as unbiased as I could, Craig, and I'm sure you feel the same.
Yes, me too. I'll rattle off Joe's picks here. He's got Philadelphia winning the division, Washington second, Dallas third, Giants fourth. That's kind of pretty much the consensus that I've seen across the board and things that I have looked at, other
Hmm.
predictions. Um, of course, I'm going to disagree with it a little bit, but I
I think I know where you're going.
have Philadelphia 12-5. I have Dallas 10-7. I have Washington 8-9. Screw them.
Wow.
This is the team that is going to get hit hardest by the sophomore slump. You watch, Jaden Daniels is going to struggle this year. And if Terry McLaurin doesn't sign, and you have Debo Samuel, slow ass Debo Samuel as your number one receiver, there's going to be nobody open. Debo Samuel literally has the least amount of separation of any wide receiver in the entire league. He doesn't
Hmm.
separate. He just outmuscles people.
I agree.
So I'm down
Uh,
on Washington big time. I think I'm not on board whatsoever. I think he's going to struggle. And then I have the Giants at 5-12. Um, their schedule is like San Francisco's. The Giants' schedule
brutal,
literally is the hardest in the entire league. Um,
brutal.
I think it lightens up a little bit in the second half, but the first half, I mean, they're not going to be favored in any game except for maybe one, and even that one, maybe not. Their first
Yeah,
8 games are like impossible. They could literally go like 1-7.
it's brutal. The only game that I think that the Giants should win is against the Saints. At
Even
least in
that's in New
terms of like,
Orleans. Even that's in
I
New
know,
Orleans.
I know, I know. At least in terms of like, you think this is probably the better team. Although I think some of these other games could go either way, but I think that there's not Giants aren't going to be favored in any of them. The schedule is brutal, absolutely brutal for my Giants. Um, so overall, I am not that different from you. Might surprise you a little bit. The Eagles, I have at 13-4.
Yep.
I just think dominant defense team, another great Barkley year overall. Washington, I have at 9-8. I have them missing the playoffs. I think the defense should be, the defense is okay. And like you said, I think that they will struggle a little bit with Daniels in the second year. I think it tends to hit running quarterbacks a little bit. And not that he's a running, he's obviously can pass, but
Right.
quarterbacks that are mobile, I think it hits them a little bit harder because when teams, the sophomore slump, when teams are able to scheme a little bit more and determine, more of their habits, I
Yeah.
think that
Plus,
it hits them a
plus
little bit harder.
for me, Dan Quinn is a little bit of a hindrance as well. He always does this where he comes out like a house of fire, where you get all excited for him because he's awesome, and then he just putters out and is out like a lamb. The same thing with the Cowboys defense. When he took over, the Cowboys had one of the best defenses in the league, and they led the league in turnovers for like 2 years in a row. And then he goes and coaches the playoff game and completely changes their scheme during the playoff game.
Yeah,
How are you going to play 4-3 all year and then change to like a 3-4 or a Tampa 2 for your playoff game? Nobody knew what the
ridiculous.
hell they were doing. And then don't forget the collapse in 28
Atlanta.
to 3 with Atlanta.
Yep,
I
yep.
I don't have any faith in him. Other than that first, maybe he's good again this year. For the first couple of years he's okay, but he always ends up either outthinking himself or getting exposed for whatever he's doing. Um, and with Daniels and the book out on him, I have, like I said, 8 and 9. But you're only one game difference from me. You have 9 and 8.
Yeah, I think we're pretty similar on these teams. Now, you have Cowboys at 10-7. I've got them at 8-9. I still think they're a decent team. I really like the Pickens signing for them. I think he's going to be good for them. They needed somebody else with CD, so I think their passing attack is going to be good. As much as it laments me to say that, as much as I hate saying that, I think that their passing attack will be good.
Well,
I think,
I'll expand a little bit on my Cowboys.
yeah,
They won 7 games with Cooper Rush, and I can't see, even with the hard schedule, getting a full season of Dak Prescott and adding George Pickens, how you're not going to win more than the 7 games that they won last year. That's why I
yeah, I
have them
can't
at
really
10.
argue against that.
Yes,
Ultimately, Micah Parsons is going to play, but I don't know. I don't know that I love this saga for him. Um,
I don't love the saga for him at all. I think ultimately
the
he
whole
will play
Jerry
well.
kind of hanging over the team a little bit. I just
Yep.
kind of predicted a little bit of malaise there. I could
Yep.
definitely see them being better,
Yeah,
but
and
I just
yeah, and every time Dak gets hurt, the following year he has monster years. He's been
that's
hurt
true.
twice. The
Yeah,
following year, at both times, he threw for like 4,500 yards and over 35 touchdowns. Both years coming off an injury, and now they add George Pickens.
yeah, yeah, man.
I think
Look,
he's going to have a huge
they're
year.
gonna have a good passing attack. They're gonna have a good passing attack.
But they can't stop the run and they can't run the ball, so that's a big problem.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs concerns me a little bit if I'm a Cowboys fan, but
Well, he's not.
he's still really good.
Yeah, he's really good. The problem is he's not playing for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll see. I ultimately I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to compete with the top three teams
Yeah,
for the division. I've got my Giants up a little bit. I've got them at 7-10.
Okay.
I think that the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants are closer than any of those teams are to the Eagles. I think my Giants are screwed by the schedule, so I think that's why I can't really predict them as more than 7 wins. I really like the defensive line, which is much improved. I think Russell is what he is, right? He's not going to be great, but I think he will be able to get some balls to Neighbors, who's pretty good. Obviously, always the concern with the Giants is the offensive line. Are they going to give Russell enough time to be able to throw some of those balls up?
Yeah.
But I think
Andrew,
overall, the
Andrew
Giants are going to
Tom.
be,
Yeah, Andrew Thomas
yeah,
has to
and
stay
Andrew
healthy.
Thomas always being hurt. Yeah, always being hurt. He's another guy that you kind of got to like pencil in for missing half the season, and that kind of screws you over for sure because he's the best Giants tackle by far,
Yep.
or offensive lineman by far.
Yep.
But I think the defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. So
Their
I
defense
have them
is
there.
really, really good. Their front seven is elite.
Yeah. So I have them there. I don't think they have an opportunity to compete really for the playoffs, but I do think they'll be a competitive team. And I think that next year, maybe when the schedule's a little bit lighter, maybe they have another couple pieces, shore up the offensive line a little bit. I think maybe next year is the year that you start to talk about the Giants as being able to maybe compete. But right now, I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles division, unfortunately, for both of us.
Yes. How? What would the record have to be for you for them to move to see Jackson Dart? Like those first 8 games, like I talked about, and you said that it's possible they only win one of those games. If they're 1-7, do they just go right to Jackson Dart then?
Yeah, if they're 1-7, and what does that put you around, like Halloween or around Thanksgiving, somewhere around like
Yeah,
somewhere
probably
in
between. I
there?
think between the two. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I think that you probably. I don't know that I want to see them get all the way to the bye week because I think their bye is like week 13 or something like that. I
Yeah,
think
it
that
might
might be
even
a
be
little too
14.
late. Yeah,
Yep.
so I think that might be a little bit too late if they're that bad. I think you at that point you kind of have to give the fans something to look forward to, you
Yeah.
know,
And their
if
schedule
it's like that.
softens up a little bit towards the end. They have like the Raiders are on the schedule later on. A game that might not mean anything to Dallas if we're garbage too in the last game of the year. There's some games later that are winnable, and it's a lot easier than the first 8. The problem is those first 8.
Yeah, the first 8 games are definitely brutal. I think that the Giants' season to me is going to be the first 2 games. It's going to be Washington and Dallas. If they can somehow go 1-1 in that stretch or something like that, or do something good against those 2 teams who are in their division,
Yep.
then they have the ability to at least compete. But
Right,
if
because
they
then
go
after
0-2 in
that
those
is
games, to me,
after that is Kansas City
it's
and then the
over.
Chargers.
Yeah, after that, to me, it's over at that point. So they've got to come out. They've got to come out the gate and be pretty good. If Washington is regressing as we think they're regressing, then the Giants I think might have a shot in Week 1.
Well,
But if
Ty
not,
Ty is also a Giants fan, and he swears they're going to beat Washington week 1.
yeah, I have confidence. We usually last year we didn't, but usually we dominate Washington. And
That is true.
last year, last year, if you look at both the Giants games, the second one they were really close to beating that Washington, and the first game they win probably if they have a kicker and our coaching staff doesn't, not put a backup, not dress a backup when
What a
they know Grant Gano is
disaster
hurt.
that was. What a disaster.
So, so, and this is another reason why I agree with you in terms of Washington. They had a lot of fortunate wins last year. If you really look at it, that last second heave, I think that Jaden Daniels had into the end zone, like there
Yep.
was a lot of fortunate wins they had. So I could definitely see some
Yeah.
regression.
I mean,
So
I might be a little harsh on them because I just really don't like them. But I can't see them like having making the playoffs and having the success they had last year all the way to the NFC Championship game. I just don't see it.
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
All right, so for the playoffs, what do you got?
All right, so this is going to be interesting as we
NFC
talk about
wild
it.
card. Yep.
Yeah. So NFC, let me get to it. Okay, so I had Detroit over. I had Atlanta as my seventh seed. I had the Rams over the Packers, and I had Tampa Bay over the Seahawks. It was my
I have the
wild
same
card.
three wild card winners: Rams,
Wow,
Tampa Bay, and
interesting.
Detroit.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I have Tampa Bay over Carolina, even though I have Carolina winning the division. I think Bryce Young in his first playoff game, I'll take the experience of Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay a little bit in that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but then as we move on, the following week, I have Philadelphia finally taking out Tampa Bay and the Rams taking out Detroit.
Yeah, so this is where I differed a bit. As I said, I really wanted to go hard with the Rams, but I went Philadelphia and Detroit. Same, but we had essentially like the same matchups there.
Yeah, but Philadelphia always has a problem with Tampa Bay. They haven't beaten them in like the last like 3 or 4 years since Philadelphia's been really, really good. The one team they
Yep.
can't beat for some reason, it doesn't really even make sense, is the Bucks.
Yep.
So I think they're going to
Yeah.
get off the snide there with that. But I do, but in saying that, I have the Rams actually beating them and going to the Super Bowl.
Wow. Okay. So we kind of did the same thing, and you could say maybe because we're two NFC East haters. I had in terms of Philly, um, I had Detroit beating Philly and going to the Super Bowl.
All right. So yeah, we both just don't want them to win. And so your Super Bowl is Baltimore, Detroit.
Yeah, which
Did
I
you
think
do
would
that
be a
because of the
really
color scheme?
no, but that would be. I didn't think about that until now, but you're
The
right. Like
Yeah, the color
that
scheme
would be
next
really
year,
cool.
the logo, the color scheme for the logo for the Super Bowl is already out. The logo's out, been produced, and it's purple and light blue.
Wow, I didn't even see that, but now it just makes me want to pick this even more.
I mean that color scheme thing is kind of weird. That the fact that it's been right like the last like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah,
at least close the last 3 or 4 years every year. But yeah, that's the scheme is now. So everybody's like, if you believe in conspiracy theories, Baltimore in Detroit. Anyway, my I have Buffalo. I'm sorry, I have the Rams over Philadelphia, and I have Buffalo and the Rams in the Super Bowl. So I'm really big on on Stafford staying healthy. So if he's not healthy, I could really be screwed in these picks. But I don't have them winning. I have Buffalo finally winning their first Super Bowl this year.
and I went basically the exact same way, just the opposite team. I've got Baltimore finally getting there. Lamar finally playing well in the playoffs, silencing some doubters,
Yep.
and finally getting there. Um, but any of these teams, I feel I could make. I could definitely see Buffalo winning it all.
Yep. And the MVP for the season, I didn't want to pick Josh Allen again because that's just lazy. And I also feel like Lamar Jackson's kind of lazy as well. I mean,
Mhm.
no disrespect if that's what you picked, but I want to go somebody a little different. So I went with Joe Burrow as my MVP
Interesting.
because he
And
puts up the
what?
numbers. If they finally win and
Yeah,
make the
definitely.
playoffs, if they finally win and make the playoffs, that's worthy of an MVP, especially with the numbers I think he's going to put up.
Yeah, that was going to be my question: is where did you have him again in the playoffs? Because if he's let's say like a seventh seed, or do you think people are going to feel as good about him, like good enough about him to want to give him the MVP over Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, whoever performs,
Right.
almost as good, but
Yeah,
is,
he is. I
the
have him
team's
as
more
I do have
successful?
him as a 7 seed.
Yeah, because that was I really considered same thing. I really considered and I wanted to pick differently. So I did, but it's different in the sense that my MVP is Patrick Mahomes. I think
Oh,
he
okay.
comes back. I think I think these things are partly narrative driven. I think he has a season that's like equal to a Josh Allen season where he has like whatever 34 touchdowns and like 8 picks or something. A lot of decent amount of yards. Not killing it with yards because I think those days are kind of behind him a little bit, but he's got a decent amount of yards. Teams winning. You know, There's like a Kansas City documentary on ESPN. You come out, like I think it's narrative driven a bit. He's gonna get the number one seed in the AFC, and I
Yep.
think he wins the MVP again. A la like a Brady when he came back after some years and won an MVP later in his career.
Yep. I can definitely see that. I mean, uh, we're splitting hairs at this point. I think in a lot of these, we know the good teams, and we're just trying to decipher as best we can. But I mean, Baltimore, the Chiefs, the Bills, these teams, and
Yeah, I
you can
think
even put
those are the class.
yeah, you can even put Kansas City and Denver possibly, or not, the Chargers and Denver possibly. Uh,
Yep.
the Rams, the Eagles, Detroit. I mean, these are all they're the cream of the crop for in the entire league, and any order you put them in really can't be argued.
Yeah, and that's another one. Like I was trying to like I thought about Joe Burrow for MVP. I was thinking about um I was thinking about like I said, CJ Stroud if he if he was able to get there, but I don't think he would. So I think the boring MVP candidates are Lamar and Josh Allen. I think they're like almost the most likely, and maybe Patrick Mahomes a step below. But I wanted to
Yep,
pick Mahomes because I want to be a little different. So,
yep.
but yeah,
Al,
these are the
Allen,
best teams for sure.
yeah, Al and Ty went boring, and they both picked Josh Allen.
I could easily see it, but it's like also it's a little bit narrative driven. So are people going to want to give him two in a row? I think he's got to be better than by like a decent
Yeah,
margin
because
than
Lamar
somebody
last
else.
year, in my opinion, Lamar had better numbers, should have won it.
Yeah, but people want to give it to Allen for the first time, right?
Right, so it
I
didn't
mean, they
really
were right
matter.
there. He was right there, but I think they were like,
Yeah,
let's give Allen one.
exactly. All right, well
So
that's it, man. We did it. We got through the whole thing, the entire league, and it was a lot of fun.
it was awesome, man. Great time. Thanks for having me. We look forward to hopefully doing it again. It's going to
Yeah,
be a
man,
crazy season, man. Great season.
absolutely. So I don't know if you know this, but me and Al, what we do is we do two podcasts every single week once the NFL season starts. We do a review of the previous week, and we do a preview show of the following week. And they're each one about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe a little over. And we go over every team, every game, and we predict every single game as we go. Now, we don't have to be held to our predictions here at the beginning of the year because obviously injuries, things happen in the flow of the season. But we do it every single week. So if any point you want to jump on for a couple of those here and there, or we could work something out another way to get you on if you want to, if you still want to come on a couple times. Love to have you. You were really good here, so no problem at all.
I'm down, man. Thank you so much. I'll definitely be down to come on again for sure. We'll talk about it.
All right, man. I appreciate it. And that is Brandon. He had some great picks, and that's going to do it. Until next time, I will see you later.